Hey, my name is Ben. Thanks for stopping by. So behind me here, I've got a couple of different jump packs for jump starting vehicles and generally having backup power. These things are super handy. I don't know how many years ago it was that these started to become commonplace, probably like 10 years ago or so. But these things have just been an indispensable part of anybody's life, especially if you live out in the country or you have a bunch of different vehicles and four-wheelers, tractors, those sorts of things. They are super handy. So specifically, I want to kind of review this JNC 770. This thing has got excellent reviews. I'll link down below right at the top to this particular one. And I've had a couple different jumper packs over the years. I don't personally own all of these. But when you're going to spend money on one of these, I really believe that it's a good idea to go ahead and get one that's got really good peak amps. So you can buy these ones that are like the size of, a large phone or whatever, and they're supposed to be able to jumpstart your car, but really honestly, I wouldn't waste your time too much with those, because what's the point of having a jumper if it can only jump like a little bitty 2-liter engine or a 1.5-liter engine? You might as well have something that you can actually use to get something done. So this one here has been our go-to workhorse, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to kind of compare all three of these, and I'm going to do a little bit of testing on them just so you can kind of get the idea of the different grades that you can buy. So right here we have a Die Hard. This is our most inexpensive unit. I don't even know what the price on it was originally, but for fun, we're going to weigh all three of these on the scale. Got it zeroed out here, and let's just see what this one comes in at. It comes in at 7 pounds, 15 ounces, almost 8 pounds. So not really heavy, not really light. And now here's the old mama, 18 pounds. So that's a full 10 pounds heavier than the Die Hard. I don't really know what to expect if this green one here is going to be heavier or not. Eesh. Man, I think it is going to be heavier. Oh yeah, 22 pounds. So they do step up appropriately with their weights, given the number of amps that each one of these is rated to put out. So on the left here, the Die Hard is supposed to put out approximately, I think 750 is what they're advertising, peak amps. And so that's what that's at. And then here, the middle one, we've had this one forever. It's been a really good unit. This thing is supposed to put out 1500 amps. And then finally on the right here, we have a 1700 peak amp version. So as you can see, the wires indicate, like, this is really flexible here. I don't even know what gauge. Can we see where the wires connect in there? Oh yeah, you can kind of see it right there. Get you a better view. So you can see right there where the wires connect. Oh, come on, focus. Anyway, they're not super huge. They're not tiny either, though, so pretty decent. And then this one, these cables I know from experience are pretty stiff, so I'm not sure what gauge these are. Probably, don't know for sure. And then these ones are really heavy duty, though. These wires, I believe, are, what did they say, 4 gauge or something like that? They're really big wires. Either way, that doesn't matter too much because they're going to be rated to carry the amount of load that each one of these can handle respectively. All right, so the fun thing I want to do here is draw or see how many amps they draw. But before we do that, let's just talk through their real basic features here, the bonus features, as we'll call them. The Die Hard here has a light, which is handy. They're pretty terrible, though, in that they're not really bright at all. And it has an on-off switch to activate when you want to have these cables active. Okay, and then down here it does have a USB port with 2.1 amp maximum draw. Not terrible. Okay, this middle guy here, this is the old dude. It has a 12-volt power outlet, and I believe that is on all the time, no matter what, just like these clamps. These are also live all the time. There is no way to turn those off. So it's kind of nice and simple in that way. Let's see, this one, let's go back to something I missed here. Oh yeah, this one has an integral charger, so you can see that there's a spot here where you can plug an extension cord onto it. And whereas this one has a separate adapter that we have to plug in right here to charge it back up. Okay, finally to the newest one, the JNC 770. It has an on-off switch as well, which when you turn it on, it gives you a monitor of the voltage, current voltage of the battery. Now, if you have this hooked up to a vehicle, the vehicle's battery will also indicate there. I'm not sure if it like combines them or how it decides which voltage to give you, but I know that like once the vehicle starts, it reads higher because it can sense how many volts are coming from the alternator. So you do have to turn that on and off for activating these main cables. But then right here, I think if we hold this, this also gives us our indicator of if it's charged or not, and it is full right now. And then here is the light, but if you just press it once, the light doesn't come on, but the light by the USB ports does. And each one of these, one can put out 2.1 amps and one can put out 1.1 amps. Here we have a 12 volt outlet, and I'm not totally sure if this is on all the time or not, but I would have to investigate that. It should be pretty easy to figure out. Okay, now if you press this again, it turns off those USB power ports, and if you press and hold it, it turns on the light. Now this light is pretty substantially bright. It's definitely going to be adequate for any roadside needs that you may have. If you press it again, I believe it begins to flash. Yep, and then if you press it again, it shuts it off. Okay, so there are the features of each of those. This one also has an integral charger, so that's nice. I would also tend to avoid the ones that have a built-in air compressor. The air compressors that you're going to get with that are built into something like this are going to be as small as possible to keep it portable, and usually aren't going to be very high quality. I had one with an air compressor in it, and it was just so. I think it's broken now, but buy yourself a separate 12 volt air compressor if you want one of those. I'll link to one in the description. That's a good one. Okay, so now on to the testing. So we've got a 100 amp battery tester. So we're going to just kind of draw some amps on these guys and see how they perform. So we'll just clip this on here, crossing these two. This is the negative side, and then the positive side as well. This one's not too big of a deal because it we can turn the switch on and off, which is kind of handy. Now the interesting thing here is that we're not really going to be able to put these under full load because this thing can't draw enough amps. But if I'm reading this tester correctly, it looks like we have our cold cranking amps are in the green right here. So right now it's telling us how many volts we have, and now as soon as we put a load on it and hold it for 10 seconds, we should be able to see how well this thing holds its basically capacity. This will kind of start to draw down. Let me peel this off here. Love that sound. Okay. All right, and then you got to be careful with these things because these get really hot. There's basically some electric resistance heaters in here, and you don't want to overheat those. So here we go. So this one is not putting out even close to what it is rated at. It's kind of holding somewhat, but it is down in that bad category. If it was running at where it should be, as far as its peak amps, it should be closer to that 600. Now, to be fair, I'm not really sure how charged that one was, so we'll have to charge that thing up and be sure, but I wouldn't expect it to do much more than that anyway. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. And this one's all hooked up now. We got to be careful with this one because it's live all the time. And we'll go ahead and put some stress tests on this. I would expect this beast to be pretty fantastic. I can still feel some heat coming out of here, so we'll let this cool down adequately in between times. But here we go. You can see our volts are reading like right at 13 volts here. And we're going to push the test button over. 3, 2, 1. And it's holding right at 600 cold cranking amps, and I can feel those elements heating up pretty fast. So I don't know exactly what the peak amps means, if that's just like the maximum that it must be the maximum that it can draw, but that's not the continuous draw. So we're going to quit right there, but that was holding at 600 or so. It was hot, hot, hot. So we'll let those elements cool off. They'll actually start to glow back in there. So you got to be careful because you can toast these testers if you're not careful. All right, we'll get the next one hooked up. All right, the moment of truth has arrived. Will the JNC hold up to its reputation? And see how it does compared to these two old dogs. So I think it's going to do good, but we'll see. One other thing I wanted to mention about this one here is that it's got really long leads. I should almost measure them out, but it'll be in the description if you click on that link. You can see how long they are, but it's longer than either of those. Those have really short little tiny ones. That one's got pretty decent, but this is nice and long with the super heavy duty gauge wire. In fact, you can see that this is a number 2 gauge, so 2 AWG, American wire gauge cable. That is super heavy duty, so that is fantastic. All right, we are about ready to proceed with our test. Again, we'll need to turn this on here. It'll give us our current volt reading. I'll try to keep that volt reading screen on screen when I do this, because we should be able to see. Let's see, focus this here. It should drop. That voltage reading, I think, will drop when you put load on it. So this is kind of cooled down, but it's still pretty warm. All right, here we go. At 13 volts to start off with here, and we're going to test in 3, 2, 1. And just a touch over 600, almost 800. And you can see it's falling off there just a tiny bit, but not much really at all. And definitely you can see that number drop in the background there, drop down to 11. And look at those elements glowing in there even. They get pretty bright. Okay, we're going to quit there. And, oh, it's kind of fun. So, yeah. Wow. Between 600 and 800 cold cranking amps. Pretty similar to this old one, really. But I think it does have just a little bit more oomph than this one here. But if you look at some of these other batteries over here, we've got a plethora of batteries on the bench. Let's just look at what their cold cranking amp rating is. This one is 670 cold cranking amps. So that's kind of just a typical car battery. I think that's pretty full size though. Let's see, this one is 580 cold cranking amps. And then they also have at 32 degrees, 725. So depending on your ambient temperature, your number of amps varies a little bit. And these dudes are deep cycle. I don't know if they have a cold cranking amp rating anyway. They probably do, but not sure about those. So yeah, I think that's a pretty comprehensive comparison of these three options. It kind of gives you an idea of the different qualities that you can find and what you can expect out of them. Doing that cold cranking amp test was really, I think, the most important thing, because that's what actually starts your vehicle in the winter, and so, or anytime, I guess. So just being able to see them hold there is really good, and just the fact, going by the weight of them, this one's got more capacity. So as far as how that peak amp thing works, I don't know exactly what that means or how you would test the peak amps. I guess someone can tell me down in the comments if you have any more knowledge on that. But yeah, I really like this. I think it's going to be great. I wouldn't shy away from one that's this style, which is just dead simple either. So I'll see if I come across one of those. I'll link that as well. The nice thing about this one is just a little bit more compact. You can see there's a little bit, they're both pretty slim, but this one's definitely got some additional height to it. Love the USB ports and the light on this one, which that one lacks. But I do like the cable management on this one better than the others. It has a metal plate here that it clips onto, which is just kind of nice for longevity purposes. This one is designed in the United States by this company here. Let's see, what is it? Designed and engineered by Clore Automotive in Kansas City, Missouri. And so that seems like it's going to be a really good product for a lot of years to come. Okay, what else comes with this thing? This is kind of a review for this, I got to remember. So we have a basically mini extension cord, and you can use any extension cord with this, but basically this just plugs in right here, and you're able to charge up your jumper that way. And then this is a male by male 12 volt cord, and you can use this to recharge this dude in your vehicle. Now be sure to look at the instructions to make sure that you don't overcharge it. I believe that when you use that, I'm not sure if it has overcharge protection. I think when you plug this into the wall, it is protect against overcharging, so I think you can leave it plugged in for the most part, but be sure to check the manual and read it before you just yeah, I know that it's important to charge them periodically for sure. So I don't know if you're supposed to leave it plugged in continuously or not, though. So yeah, well, that's pretty much it. Comparison for you and review of the JNC 770. If this video helps you make your decision with your buying a jumper pack, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe down below for more videos like this one. Hit that bell icon to be notified about future videos. If you have any thoughts or suggestions in the comments for what your favorite jumper pack is, I would love to hear about it. So again, link in the description to these units here, or this one in particular. And yeah, I think I'd highly recommend it. So, all right, talk to you guys in the next video. See ya. I'll also link to one of these because these things are cool. Still warm. Thumbs up because Ruben cleaned the shop a little bit. Can you tell? It is a little bit better than it was before. Got a little ways to go. The shop cleaning is never done, is it? Okay, I said I was going to be done. See you later.